local mentors. Today we have with us Albina, who comes from Russia and is currently in Canada. So let's chat with her and get to know her journey as a student and a professional in Canada. And along the way, do not forget to note down some important points that you might come across as we proceed through our discussion. So, welcome, Albina. We are so glad to have you on EDAP today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really honored.
Yeah. So, how? Let's start with how are you doing? Like, how are you holding up amidst this COVID-19 situation?
Oh, right. The situation is still going on. Well, actually, I live in Toronto for the last 6 years. And yeah, so the city, I feel like it's doing quite well, but we're now on a second wave of a lockdown. So practically, we've been just working from home, wearing masks, and just keep going, keep going. Yeah. All in all, definitely the situation affected me as a professional too. I work for educational agency. I am co-founder of educational small agency here in Toronto. But students are not traveling around, right? So most of the studies are online. So we're trying to help those students who are still determined to study, who are still determined to come, or those who would like to maybe use this uncertain times to get education online. So we still keep supporting the students that we've got, but definitely we are the ones who are affected quite
We are
quite a lot.
yeah.
Yeah. At the same time, we have students who have already come here, and it is, to begin with, coming to Canada is already quite a shift. It's quite a transformation coming to study to another country. And then in the middle of those studies, pandemic happens. We're definitely trying to support the students that are already here, that we've already done our job bringing them here, but we still try to actually create even larger and tighter community. That's where EDAP comes to actually see who's here, who went back home to stay with their parents during these times. But these times are stretching, so it's been almost a year. That's why community, I believe, is now is more important than ever.
Yes, that's very true. Like rightly said.
Yeah.
We hope it gets better.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed. And I know doctors and scientists are working hard. Our job is just to, stay safe and hope and pray. Yeah, I was mentioning that I came to Canada 6 years ago, and the country felt totally different than it is now. So now I definitely feel that Canada is my second home as well. So it's kind of interesting to maintain like a home back in Russia and think of this country as a home as well over the years.
That's great. Okay. So let's begin with our interview. Why don't you give us a brief about yourself and your education background?
Okay. Well, before coming to Canada, I actually completed a diploma, let's say. I graduated law school, but in Russia it's a different system. So I was quite young, already trying to practice a little bit of law, going to court. So this serious profession was already available to me at the age of 22. Because Russian system is this way that you just go to university, complete it in 4 or 5 years, and you're a complete lawyer. So I felt that going to corporate jobs and practicing was a little bit too premature, too early. So I needed more education. And I spoke English since an early age, thanks to my parents. They were, thinking about it, and I was getting extra classes. Not everybody speaks English in Russia at the moment, so I was like, hey, I've got this will to study something for a shorter period of time, let's say a year. And I speak English already, so I felt like I had this, opportunity to see where to go. And Canada actually was not top on my list, so I didn't even think of Canada because it's so far. But when starting some research, actually the Canadian dollar was really doing well, comparing to Russian currency, and somehow Canada just fell into place. I was like, okay, I haven't been to North America. I know nothing about Canada, but seems like I'm going there to study. And eventually I went for a 2-year academic program, Global Business Management. And because it made sense for me to kind of get a education that I could use anywhere. I wasn't sure if I want to stay in Canada or not. I was just open-minded, I guess. And it had a component of law as well, business law, contract law. So I thought that would be a nice kind of broadening up program. This program is also, well, it is consisted of most of the MBA subjects, but it's not MBA. It's cheaper. It just has different focus. So I went to, after doing law, I did global business management postgrad in Humber, in Canada, Toronto. Also, before coming to Canada, I completed my translations not license. It's called diploma as well. So I translate paperwork, documents from Russian to English, from English to Russian. I already did some kind of freelance job in this. And here in Canada, I realized that I like this country. And last year, I also completed an immigration consulting diploma. I'd say the last education was the top favorite. I loved every class of it. So I'm now looking forward to working with immigrants. Yet the immigration consultant's license here in Canada, it takes a while to get to the point when I can present myself as an immigration consultant. So I'm waiting on a licensing, approvals, and all that. So yeah, here it is. Right now I work as an education consultant, and I wish to add up to it immigration as well, because they go together.
Yeah, that's great. That shows your passion for learning and welcoming students to your country.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it feels like in Canada everyone keeps studying, or maybe all over the world. It's such a trend. Yet I would like to apply the knowledge already.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so how is life in Canada different from your home country, Russia, or what are some cultural differences or lifestyle differences that you observed or you experienced?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, I lived in quite a big city, let's say, in Russia. I'm originally from a town, but then I moved to quite a larger city, maybe 1 million people. Well, larger, it's comparative. Million is, I don't know if it's okay. In Russia, it's fine. And here in Canada, it's a big city. In India, probably it's
Yes.
okay city. So,
Yeah.
so coming to Canada was actually like, I knew nothing really, just the movies and just how it's all portrayed, and I don't know, TV shows. For me, it was necessary to have definitely to move around in a car, or maybe it's like you cannot really walk in North America except bigger cities where there are sidewalks and where's the public transport. But I was not ready to be as a new student. I wasn't ready to get a car and drive. But yeah, if you wanted to get around, especially I guess because I was living like outside of the city a little bit, not in downtown, not in the middle, to me it was like, what? To get groceries, to get some, I don't know, some veggies, I need to walk so much because everything is designed as if you're driving. If you're driving, it's just a 5-minute drive, but walking, it is not as convenient for people who would like to just walk, take a transit. Now I live in an area of the city where everything is walkable, or I'm even biking in summer. So I love this lifestyle. It's completely different from Russia because we don't even have as many sidewalks. Like we, how to say, in Russia you can walk a lot and everything accessible. There is a pharmacy here. There is a grocery store right here, right in your building. It happens here too, but not when I arrived. I arrived to just an area where there were, houses, and that's it. And everyone is driving around, and I'm the only single person waiting for the bus on the street, So that was quite a contrast. Now I don't feel this contrast. In terms of the larger things that really kept me here is, I'd say, people really follow the law. So even now, for instance, there are some new rules, and there are quite harsh rules with lockdown. Like we cannot go to see even our family or friends in their houses. Right now, for 28 days, there are restrictions, and people follow them. So I was amazed by how there are rules and instructions, and they're followed most of the times, let's say 99% of the times. So there is a respect for law. I really also like how everything is organized here. And you know what? Russia is quite similar in terms of climate, right? We have harsh winters. We have a lot of wind. It's not the warmest place, but yet Canada is so much cleaner. I don't know why. Like in Russia, we have a lot of dust, a lot of construction here too, but somehow I feel like Canadians appreciate their nature and kind of try to keep everything organized. I appreciate that.
Yeah, good to hear that. So tell us about your experience with finding accommodation and finding roommates throughout these 6 years of.
Yeah, that was quite a challenge for me because I was already late to get to let's say residence. There is residence in colleges normally, but you have to be quite early because locals also want to stay in this residence. So there were no spots available, and I was like, oh, come on, I'll come and I'll find something else. But it was quite a challenge. So I really, when arriving, I had no idea when I'm gonna stay. And now I'm thinking like, how did I even do? So I stayed for 2 days in a hotel, trying for these 2 days find someone who would be also looking for a place, because it was quite common. It's normally quite common to try to find roommates and start, living somewhere from September. So I came a little bit early in August to kind of figure out my accommodation, but it was so tricky. I was lucky to find a girl that we connected. She was from the same country that I'm from. I guess I gravitated to opportunity to maybe talk in the same language. I feel like it happens a lot of times, especially in the beginning. You still try to connect with someone from your country. And and we became friends. But again, she also her lease was up. She was already living here in Canada. So I feel like it was luck, because I was literally coming not knowing how to look for places, not knowing the websites. I was just blank. And literally, it was just like I found her, and then I stayed at her place, and then we finally found a nice 2-bedroom apartment. But it was like a basement apartment, which is super common in Toronto, in Canada. There are many, many houses, not many apartment buildings actually, and people renovate their basements and make it a nice apartment. And it's quite unusual. To me, it was unusual. We don't do that, but also quite comfortable. Yeah, so it was a large space and good price, close to college, but it was quite a stress. So honestly, what I have done better, I probably would try to look for places earlier and connect with people who've already start studying there and who already, have some experience. I honestly was just, just going and figuring it out, and then getting so much stress, and then the studies begin, and your accommodation is not fixed. It's a mess.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I wouldn't do
that's
that anymore.
that's the positive thing of, finding a job and then moving away from student life. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Remind me again, how long was your university degree at Humber?
Oh, at Humber it was 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Two
So
years.
how has it been transitioning from student to professional life? Do you like it? Like, do you have a preference?
Well, when I came to Canada, to Humber, I actually had to quit my job back in Russia. So I already felt like I did a transition to profession. I was already adult, getting my first salary, and then I actually got admitted to Canada, and I was like, you know what, it's a good time. I shall quit now and go. So it felt like I was kind of coming back to being a student again, but it's a completely different environment, multicultural. So sometimes it's really intense, especially in the beginning. And now that I work with students, I see the trend. Some students come a little bit early. Maybe they need to upgrade their English, or they just have family. They have opportunity to come a little bit early before the school starts, and they get adapted, and they kind of figure out how the, I don't know, bus system works, how people talk. For me, it was quite a stress to just take it all in at the same time. School was interesting and amazing, but then there's so many things you have to understand, the life, people, different accents, different just opportunities. And then I was like, okay, school started, now there's a group project. It was a little bit overwhelming in the beginning. But I really like the campus in Hamburg, because it has several campuses, and I think I went to the best one. It's on the lake, amazing, beautiful campus. So you feel really like an international student in a movie. So
Do you have like open access to the lake?
yes, there is a big park, open access to the lake. And actually, what was fun, we even spent our days off, our weekends on campus too. Like, we would come back and still take a walk, or maybe meet with a group for a project. It's just nice time to be at. Yeah, nice space, nice place.
That's
And
cool.
the libraries were working 24/7. Um, Everything was available for just studying. I really loved it. It's just, I don't know, I guess I wish I did more during studies in Canada, because it has so much more to offer. There are events for students who are interested in photography. There are events for new students who just arrived. There are events. There are so many events, and I was like, I want everything, but like, how you're gonna, have it all. So it
Yeah.
was quite fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Just for my curiosity, how are Russian universities? Like, do they have huge campuses, or how are they spaced?
Mm, Yeah, so they're not like a campus unless it's a large university that has several buildings, and normally the building is like one faculty. So I'd say they're quite fundamental and classic. Some of them are older. So, but yeah, definitely older. So you wouldn't feel as something modern happening there. Like, there were MacBooks, there were laptops everywhere. There were all this technology is not available in Russia. In, like,
Yeah.
maybe there are exceptions, and the groups are much larger. When we had some lections or seminars, the groups were huge and probably the professor wouldn't remember your face, so that's what it is. But at Hamburg, here in Toronto, yeah, you definitely build a connection with a professor, and you have conversations. It's amazing to foster relationships with everyone, with professors and the students, because everyone comes from different background. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so what are your thoughts on networking and like how did you go about building your network in Canada?
Well, it was another interesting topic when I just came to Canada. That everyone was talking about LinkedIn, the professional networking social media that is quite common here, and people find jobs using LinkedIn. So it's not possible to open up an account of LinkedIn back in Russia. So I was like, what is it? Everyone is talking about it. And then we had classes on career development, and networking was a topic number one from the day one as well. So to me, it came naturally to connect with people in real life and be like, hey, introduce myself, talk. So I had no like barriers talking to a real person. But when it comes to social media, you have to write a certain letter and connect with a potential person and maybe chat to build some kind of connection. And that wasn't natural to me either. It wasn't something that I knew how to do. And it's also a cultural thing. Like we don't just, connect to someone back at home. You don't think that you connect to your potential future colleague from, I don't know, a company I want to work with and invite this person for a coffee. This is not in culture. And for me, it wasn't kind of natural to get how networking works specifically in Canada. For me, it would be naturally just you just talk and you connect and you introduce yourself. There is a small talk. It's fine, but when it is done on a social media or on LinkedIn, and it's quite interesting. So you do a research of a company or a person, or you kind of feel like, okay, this person must be pursuing a career that I would want. So you would connect with this person, try to maybe notice something interesting and write about it and hope that person responds. And really 3-4 people out of 10 respond, and that's how in Canada many build their relationships, just connecting first over a coffee, meeting in a neutral kind of talking about neutral topic, asking for advice. I want a career like yours, what do I do? That was really blowing my mind.
It's like very different.
Completely different. And also now I understand why, because many just feel like sharing and they feel like helping. And when someone is looking for a member of a team to their company, to their team, they would like to know the person first. Maybe the person is not even going to apply, but it's a total different appreciation of networking here. It took me some time to get how it all works, and that you're not supposed to like ask for jobs from the person that you meet first minute. So it's more about talking and connecting.
Yeah, building that bond first and then proceeding.
Yeah. Well,
So,
also, I also have to mention that what is different here is that Canadians, they're really respectful of the space and the boundaries. So it took me also, I had to pay attention to, okay, how don't I cross the line? I cannot ask too personal questions, and I also have to be, giving the space, let's say, give the space. So if the person wants to talk more or invite you or offer something, just respectful space. Yeah. So sometimes I could be really excited and being like, let's meet up tomorrow again. And they just like their personal space.
yeah, good to know that. Um, So, do you think having an app like eDapt back then would have been beneficial in your journey?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It feels like 6 years is not a long time, but believe me, I was doing some research, and there were not many videos on YouTube like this one. There was not much information, and especially I really had no idea how to connect to people with the same goals. One thing, when you try to connect with people who live here, let's say using Facebook, right? But if they moved to Canada maybe 10 years ago, they have totally different interests. It felt sometimes like I'm bothering a person who already lives here, who's already been through their journey. It's so important to find someone in the same shoes and with the same thoughts, with the same problems, let's say. So I was lucky to find like one person who was also looking for a place to stay during studies. But what if not? Like it was really uncertain and stressful. I feel like an app like eDapt will be just a place to go to see like-minded people, and everyone are in the same boat. It's a huge support. And yeah, definitely I'll look for information. I'll try to talk to people who are going to the same city as I am going. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point you made there. Like, it's so true. Like, even if someone has been through that journey, but it's already been like 10, 15 years, it won't be that fresh.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's a good point there.
Yeah, and you wouldn't feel like asking too many questions. You know what I mean? For instance, if I moved to Canada just 6 months ago or a year ago, or I just completed my program in university or college here, I'm still fresh, I'm still excited, and I'm like, hey, I did that, you can do that too, here are some tips. But if a person is already deep in their life and they're like, oh, what, it's just not an interest. And I find that it's really tricky to go through so many, people finding those who have the same interest.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so lastly, any advice you would like to give future students or professional looking to move or relocate to a new country?
To the new country, now with the way we are all connected, I think it's amazing to try to prepare yourselves as much as possible. I wish I prepared more. I know you're never going to be prepared for such a totally new opportunity, but I wish I already kind of figured out how resumes are done in this country, how people talk. Try to learn as much as possible. It would be really helpful. And I have actually another advice: to not have a lot of expectations. Let's say imaginary expectations. Just have an open mind and a learning attitude. Everything is going to be totally different from the place you are, but at the end of the day, people are the same. So just have faith, I guess, and open mind. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so with that, we end our interview here. Thank you so much, Albina, for this amazing conversation and taking out time to come here on and chat with us today.
Thank you so much, Meghna. I appreciate your invitation so much as well. And yeah, I hope it would be helpful. And the students who are dreaming about coming to another country, they should just feel that there is support. There are people who think about them, and they eventually will find support system.
Yes, definitely. That's very important.
Okay.
Okay.